This is Brenda with Keenan Kreations, and today I'm going to show you how to make this Christmas card using the Snow Place stamp set and matching framelits from Stampin' Up. The stamp set and matching framelits are in the 2015 holiday catalog. You'll save 15% if you purchase it as a bundle, and the stamp set is only available in photopolymer. To get started, we're going to use Whisper White cardstock and the new basic black archival ink pad. I normally use Stays-On, but I really like this pad over Stays-On, especially with the photopolymer stamps. Sometimes Stays-On and photopolymer can get a little sticky, but this one is just perfect. So just tap it and then stamp on your paper, and then lift the photopolymer up slowly because sometimes it does still want to stick to the paper. And we're just going to stamp all of our little elements first with the larger snowman. And I try to space them, I would say about a ½ inch apart so they're not too close, and you're able to die cut them with the framelits. Now the hat is a solid image stamp, so you do want to twist it and then tap tap. And then just press firmly. You don't have to mash it, but just press firmly and then lift up slowly. And we also have the arms for the snowman. So we have a small one and a large one, and you want to stamp this twice. So we're also going to stamp the greeting, and I'm just walking it across the ink pad. Now we have some little embellishments we're going to stamp in real red. And the holly berry, we want it to be in red and green. So the easiest way to add two colors to one stamp is using your markers. There's a brush tip and a fine point. We want to use the brush tip. So we're just going to add some color to the berries. And add the green to the leaves. This is garden green, and the red is real red. Now I didn't have the earmuffs on the sample, but I think I'm going to add it to the little guy here. So we'll go back to the real red ink. Now I've already die cut the pieces I need for my card, but I wanted to show you a couple of things when using the Big Shot and the magnetic platform. So the magnetic platform actually has circle magnets. They're about, I don't know, maybe about a ½ inch apart. I don't know if you're going to be able to see them here, but sometimes these smaller framelits will actually jump towards the magnet that's near it. So if you find that your framelit is jumping, there's a couple of things you can do. One, you want to make sure that your bottom plate is nice and flat. Sometimes they start to curve, and you don't want it to curve like this on the top where you have a little space between the plate and your magnet. If your top plate is curving, just flip it over so that it's touching the magnet. And then when you're lining these up, now I have a large piece of paper here where I've stamped all the images, and sometimes that doesn't always work in your favor. So just go ahead and tear the paper. I think it's sometimes easier just to have a smaller piece of paper or several smaller pieces of paper in case you need to adjust them to keep them from jumping. So these little framelits here, so see how that one's raised up? So if I move the paper, we're going to try to move it till it lays flat. There we go. So now see how it's turning? So you can adjust it once you get it to where it's not wanting to jump towards one of those neighboring magnets. So then if we put the next one, sometimes you'll get this one just right, and you'll want to die cut a second one, and it gives you a little bit of grief. But this one looks pretty good. Now when you place the top plate on, you want to tuck this in and lay it flat. And I actually like to push it down where my framelits are as it goes through the Big Shot. to keep that from jumping around. And then you're just going to pop these out. Now the other thing I wanted to show you is this snowman here. See how it has these little scratches on it? Well, that's from my top plate. And the scratches from this top plate actually made scratches into the cardstock, so I had to restamp that one. But to avoid that, if you have really cruddy plates like I do, where they have a lot of scratches in there, just set this all up and then put a piece of wax paper on top and then place this on top of that, and you won't get these scratches to transfer to your cardstock. So we're going to use real red cardstock, and this is your standard card size. It's 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored down the middle at 4 1/4. And you're going to fold it and just make sure your edges line up nice and neat and get that a good creasing. We're going to use the Holiday Fancy Foil Designer Vellum. This is also in the holiday catalog, and I've trimmed this to 3 5/8 by 4 inches. And there's 3 different patterns in the paper. So you have the trees, the snowflakes, and the holiday stripes. Now I want to layer this onto Whisper White cardstock that's cut the exact same size, so it's a nice white background. My layering piece is basic black, and if I layer this directly on top, it's just not as pretty, I don't think. So we're going to add this with some liquid glue, and I'm just going to use a dot of glue under some of the trees so we don't see the adhesive show through. So this is a Tombow multi-purpose glue. I always like to squeeze it on scratch paper first, just to make sure I don't have a big blob coming out. And we're just going to dot this on some of the trees. Not a lot of them, just right around the edges here. You can also hide the adhesive where you know your snowman is going to be. And then we're just going to line this right up to the edges. The nice thing about that liquid glue is you have a little bit of wiggle room, so if you need to scoot it a little up or to the side, you can do that. And we're going to use our regular adhesive around all the edges. And the basic black cardstock is cut just slightly larger. So this is going to be 3 3/4 by 4 1/8. We just wanted to have a little tiny border of black. And then we're going to add adhesive around the edges. I'm going to add this to the front of the card. Now here's all our little pieces that we die cut earlier. We're going to have dimensionals under just about everything, but we're going to go ahead and add the greeting. So this is kind of a long skinny greeting. I would probably use at least 4 dimensionals. I'm just going to have this right along the bottom. Now before I add the snowman, I'm going to go ahead and add their arms. And I like to add them with glue dots. So the larger arms will be for the larger snowman. And I'm putting the glue dot on the front of the arm so I can just tuck it right to the back. Now this little guy is going to decorate the front of the hat, so we're just going to add a glue dot to the back. And we're just going to put it right here. We'll use dimensionals to add the snowman. His bow tie will be added with the glue dot too. And I just put it right in the center, but if it pokes out, just kind of fold it onto itself. Now I want to add dimensionals to the back of his earmuffs, but I think they're going to be too big, so I'm going to trim those down. So just go to the end here. I'm just going to put these right about here. Now normally I would lift the rhinestones up with my pokey tool, but I left that, so I'm just going to use the pointy part of the scissors. And we're going to add some rhinestone buttons. You want to make sure you get under the adhesive. So sometimes the adhesive gets left on the sheet there. We're going to use the larger rhinestones for the big guy. So we're going to color the noses with pumpkin pie marker. So I've also stamped the inside of the card to match. I hope you enjoyed today's project. For more ideas, you can visit me at KeenanCreations.com. Thanks and have a great day.